You never run out of
number
time
between
for
1 and
that.
40.
I don't have a number, but do you have anything that bookends the sinking of the Titanic?
No. Because that one's too obvious. Everybody knows that stuff. Oh, well, sorry. Google it.
Watch the movie.
No, I'll tell you, I will.
17.
17? I like how people like. All right, you know what? I'm going to skip 17 because I opened to one that I like even better. And if the same person who said 17 is the same who said 19, I don't really trust you. 17, or number 25, is you should really be a cat person. And I have this great picture of a cat. Quality pictures is the secret to making satirical historical bathroom books. People remember that. In the year 1233, a priest by the name of Conrad von Marburg received reports that a group of heretics were operating in Germany, which the Catholic Church was not down with. Being a fairly proactive holy man, Conrad launched an inquisition to root out these supposed heretics, because if there was one thing God didn't like, it was being worshipped in slightly the wrong fashion. This being the 13th century, launching an inquisition, of course, meant terrorizing random people, threatening to burn them at the stake and torturing the shit out of them until they confessed to pretty much whatever Conrad wanted to hear. The Middle Ages were a wonderful period. I wish we could go back. Amazingly enough, Conrad discovered that not only were there heretics in Germany, because tortured people confessed to anything, but a full-blown satanic cult was there. According to Conrad's investigation, members of this cult would kiss the asshole of a black cat before engaging in a wild homosexual orgy, which upon culmination would result in the arrival of the devil, who would then apparently just hang out for a bit for, satanic chit-chat. Seems like a lot of work just for a conversation, but I'm not a Satanist, so I don't know. Flushed with holy vigor, Conrad sent a letter describing his findings to the Pope in Rome. However, he was soon after mysteriously murdered for reasons that can only be described as obvious given his habit of torturing random innocent people. When Pope Gregory IX got Conrad's letter, he freaked the hell out, which may have been somewhat understandable if anything in the letter was true. While other priests also wrote letters, most describing how Conrad was a torture-happy asshat, the Pope decided to go with Conrad's by far much more interesting description of what was going on. Because, you get a letter that says, oh, everything's fine, or a letter like, oh my god, these people are kissing parts of cats and I don't want to talk more about it. Which would you believe in a time before TV, I guess? Anyways, to be fair to Gregory, Germany was a long ways away, and as anybody who has ever been to Germany knows, Germans are kind of weird people. Anyways, thoroughly freaked out at the thought of a bunch of feline butthole-kissing orgy-loving cultists, which I never thought I'd write in a book, Gregory wrote a papal edict commanding the nobles of Germany to hunt down and eradicate all signs of this supposed cult. Gregory's edict left the German nobles in a bit of a quandary. On the one hand, they wanted to prove they were good Christians by totally doing what the Pope told them to do, because if you don't go to heaven. But on the other hand, the satanic cult they were supposed to eradicate totally didn't exist. Luckily, the nobles found a loophole, as one does. The edict did mention that black cats were used in the cult's evil rituals. So if the nobles just wiped out all the black cats, then the cult wouldn't be able to do the aforementioned rituals. No black cats meant no, and we don't need to go into what they were doing with the cats again. What followed was exactly as ridiculous and as stupid as you would expect. Imagine you're a serf. Poor guy, living in the Middle Ages. Your entire life is pretty much toiling your ass off with no hope of bettering your position until you drop dead before your 40th birthday. You're illiterate, and so are all of your friends, and you probably have livestock living in your house with you if you're lucky enough to own livestock. Now imagine that your local priest, the most educated person in town, gets up on the pulpit and commands you to kill all the black cats you see because they are totally the devil or something like that. Now imagine how easily things get out of hand today via social media, even though we are all supposedly well educated. So yeah, it's not hard to see how the whole killing black cat things quickly got out of control. The idea that black cats were the devil soon spread across most of Europe and then morphed from just black cats to pretty much all cats. Over the next 110 years, the people of Europe pretty much killed every cat they could get their hands on. Funny thing about cats, they eat rats. Funny thing about killing all the cats, You end up with a lot of rats. Throughout the Middle Ages, Italian trading vessels regularly plied the waters between Europe and the Middle East. Starting in the mid-40th century, they began bringing back and forth not just delicious spices and the such, but also rats infested with fleas, which in turn carried the bubonic plague. Yeah, you can probably see where this is going. Over the next decade, the rats, and hence the plague, spread across Europe, killing an estimated 30 to 60% of the continent's population, some 75 to 200 million people. Fun things about history, there was no census back then, so people really don't agree on anything. Suffice it to say, things did not go well. Of course, the people of Europe, seeing the error of their ways, stopped killing cats soon after. No, that's actually not right. Actually, they doubled down on the whole cat killing thing, resulting in several more rounds of plague over the next several centuries. In fact, they didn't stop needlessly killing cats until the early 19th century, and to this day, black cats are still considered bad luck.
For the cat.